So normally these kinds of videos start with some kind of background or history or otherwise well-written intro, but this is a game where Bumblebee is a hurricane kick, Sideswipe can flash step, Grimlock is a grapple character, and Optimus Prime can no-scope Devastator with a sniper rifle. So screw it.
Autobots, roll out!
Alright, actually, I lied. We are going to talk about the development for a little bit. Released in 2015, Devastation was developed by Platinum Games, and if you think it's weird that the studio behind Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance made a Transformers game, it is weird, but this was also one of 3 licensed games that Platinum released around this time period, along with The Legend of Korra and TMNT Mutants in Manhattan. Devastation actually has the same director as Metal Gear Rising, Kenji Saito, though it plays much more closely to Bayonetta. The story was written by former IDW comic writer Andy Schmidt and features several members of the original cast from the '84 animated series, meaning we've got Frank Welker as Megatron.
Earth has pinned its final hope on you? Pathetic.
Dan Gilvezan as Bumblebee.
The least likely can be the most dangerous.
And of course, Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime.
Till all are one.
The whole game in general is a love letter to the G1 series, and a pretty stark visual contrast to games like War for Cybertron. While that game certainly has its fair share of G1 influence, Devastation's character designs and art direction are pretty much one-to-one with the original animated series. The game's presentation in general is fairly solid, with a vibrant color palette, cool effects work, and a smooth 60 FPS for responsive game feel. The cutscenes, on the other hand, are pretty rough. For whatever reason, they're all pre-rendered, which you'd think would give them some visual consistency even if the resolution is a bit crunchy, but the frame rate in these scenes are all over the place. Sometimes scenes look just fine, about as smooth as the rest of the game, but others run choppy as hell. Some scenes also have visual errors, like character outlines not lining up with the model or mouths moving when they aren't speaking. I get that this was more of a budget title, but it's still pretty distracting, even if there aren't too many cutscenes.
Greetings from beneath the earth, Autobots. As you can see, I am now in control of the greatest Cybertronian mission ever undertaken.
It cannot be. The Proud Star.
And finally the diodes tumble. I am simply going to hasten the Decepticons' mission instead of just cyberforming this city. With me at the helm, the entire planet will be transformed in mere days.
You plan to cyberform Earth.
Let me correct you, Optimus Prime. I don't plan to do anything. I have already started.
But the Earthlings
Will die.
I mentioned earlier that the game was written by a former IDW writer, but honestly, the story here is pretty basic, almost formulaic. It's mostly just an excuse for Megatron to do his Megatron thing and for the Autobots to step in and stop him. In this case, he plans to cyberform Earth using the technology left behind in an ancient Autobot ship that crashed into Earth millions of years ago. Of course, Optimus won't have that and makes it his mission to keep the Earth safe, even if it means sacrificing the last remaining record of Cybertronian history. Along the way, they'll battle enemies of all flavors, ranging from standard Decepticon foot soldiers to iconic characters like Starscream, Soundwave, Motormaster, and Devastator. Even the Insecticons get in on the action in a few stages. If we're still comparing it to the '84 series, the whole game could be considered some kind of 2-part special episode. Nothing especially amazing, but it's got pretty much everything you'd need for some classic Transformers action. How about that new Transformers action, though? Let's get into the real meat of things.
Autobots, welcome to the Proud Star, the great ship of Nova Prime.
It can't be. You mean an Autobot ship is responsible for all the destruction in the city?
It appears so, Wheeljack. But I doubt it was an Autobot hand that caused the destruction.
Another Cybertronian ship crashed on Earth? What are the odds?
Devastation is a third-person character action game, with some shooting and racing thrown in as well. If you've played Bayonetta before, you should feel right at home with the controls and general game flow. Characters can equip multiple melee and ranged weapons and can perform combos by stringing together light and heavy attacks. You've also got a dodge that lets you trigger focus, when you dodge an attack just before it hits, which will slow down time for a short period. Finishing a combo string also lets you perform a follow-up vehicle attack by pressing the dodge button when your character flashes white, which should look pretty familiar if you played Bayonetta 3 or Astral Chain. Please, for the love of God, play Astral Chain, as it's exactly the same as the sync attacks you can perform in those games. You can even go the extra mile and follow it up with a ranged attack, which will let you combo into another vehicle attack for big damage. On top of your base kit, there's also a few moves you can buy in the shop, though they weren't all created equal. The shove and spin attack are unfortunately not that useful, but reversals and parries are another story. Reversals let you instantly counterattack after a dodge for a free vehicle attack, and the parry will completely nullify incoming attacks if you time it just right. I usually love a good parry mechanic, but I rarely found myself trying to use it in this game because of just how strong reversals are. Finally, you have your ultimate attacks, which are just some form of screen nuke. Build it up by doing damage and let it rip whenever you don't feel like dealing with whatever's on screen.
Today is a good day to join our cause, Thundercracker.
My loyalty only goes so far. Tampering with plasma energy? That's madness.
Wow, that took like no convincing at all. No wonder they call you Thundercracker.
Very funny, dipsqueak. No one should have that thing. You want to get it, that's fine. So long as you promise to get rid of it.
I think we can handle that.
It's on the island. Megatron sent Blitzwing after it. You're closer, so you might be able to beat him there.
I know the island. Only way onto it is across Liberty Bridge.
Sounds like fun.
The game has 5 playable characters to choose from: Optimus, Bumblebee, Sideswipe, Wheeljack, and Grimlock. Your moveset is tied to what kind of weapon you're using though, so outside of Grimlock's unique Dino mode, everyone plays fairly similarly. They do each have a unique ability and stat line to set them apart, however. Yes, there are stats in this game, I promise that's relevant later. The character you choose also impacts which weapons you can use. Bumblebee isn't exactly built to swing around giant hammers or rocket launchers, and poor Grimlock couldn't understand a sniper rifle if his spark depended on it.
Me Grimlock, bite it till it work!
There's a pretty healthy variety of weapons to choose from, though a lot of them are just weapon type with a different element. There's gauntlets, hammers, swords, dual swords, axes, machine guns, rifles, launchers, blasters, lasers, drills, speakers, cannons. Wait, is that a fucking shotgun?
Optimus, please! Don't shoot me in the head with a shotgun!
Let's just say there's a lot. But wait, you may be asking, how the heck does a game like this have such a large variety of weapons with so many different characteristics? Well, dear viewer, I lied earlier. This isn't just a third-person character action shooter racing game. It's also an action RPG, with a Borderlands-style loot drop system. And honestly, I kinda like that.
No one defeats Menasor! Must complete mission!
I did not see that coming.
Oh, Starscream! You survived. Everyone into the space bridge! To Cybertron! Except you, Starscream. You stay here and burden the Autobots with your incompetence!
Laugh while you can, Megatron! But I will laugh last!
They have gone through the space bridge. After them!
As you probably already guessed, Devastation was made as a budget title. The main campaign is fairly short at only 7 chapters, and some of those can be finished in under half an hour. There are a large number of challenge missions, but most of those just involve fighting a specific formation of enemies or bosses. So how did Platinum decide to add replayability? By making it Borderlands. By defeating enemies, completing optional side missions, and yes, by just straight up opening loot boxes. You can acquire random weapons that you can check out when you return to your base. Loot drops are put into common, uncommon, and rare, but that by itself doesn't tell the whole story. Weapons can have varying ranks, ranging from D up to SS, and can also come with a variety of ability slots. They're mostly just standard passive buffs, ranging from things like extra ammo, extra headshot damage, a longer focus duration, and even status effects with the right elemental weapon. Unlike Borderlands where what you see is what you get, here you can synthesize weapons together to make one stronger and give it more buffs. The higher the rank, the higher its level cap. Higher difficulties will also net you inherently better weapons with higher stats and more passive buffs. This game really wants you to constantly replay it at higher difficulty levels, to the point that there are actually 2 unlockable super tough difficulties for those that really want to bust their balls. Doing so, however, does turn the game into a bit of a grind fest. If you want to stand any chance against all the hyper-aggressive, parry-happy lugnuts that the Magnus and Prime difficulties throw at you, you not only need to play the campaign a bunch to unlock said difficulties, but you also need high-level equipment to make sure your damage output is up to snuff. The last thing you want is to get halfway through a stage and spend close to 10 minutes on a single battle because your numbers are just too low.
Me don't like this place. Something smells funny. I agree, old friend. I can sense it. A darkness. I can feel Nova Prime. The goodness within him. The nobility of his mission. To cyberform uninhabited worlds. To bring life to the galaxy. But something went wrong. A darkness fell over him. Burrowed into him. Something corrupted him. Driving him mad. He did come here to destroy Earth. But only after encountering some singular entity. Something bent not just on destruction, but our destruction. And Nova Prime sent it in our direction. It's out there now, searching and destroying its way to Cybertron.
Nova Prime? One of our own? Really went bad on us?
It appears so.
This sort of grinding is present in basically every looter-shooter type game, but unlike Borderlands or Destiny, you don't have specific bosses or areas that are optimal for certain loot. The best you can do is increase the drop rates of rare items with weapon and tech skill passives. Oh yeah, I never brought up tech. It's equipment, basically. Spend some cash to play a little timing minigame, get a random piece of gear, and slot it onto your character. Simple stuff, but also very grindy and RNG reliant to get the best stuff. You even need to beat higher difficulty levels just to make better quality tech. This will also raise every character's stat caps. There's 8 stats in total, but the game is pretty bad about telling you what does what. Things like speed and endurance are straightforward enough, but why does strength raise your health? What does courage do? And what the hell is Ferb? Do I have a Phineas stat too? At the end of the day, all that matters is number go up, so if you have a favorite character, you can dump all your stat boosting items onto them, or even just spend credits to level them up from your base. If all that sounded overwhelming, I promise, it's really not. You can get through the normal difficulty just fine without needing to think too much about it and just synthesizing a handful of decent weapons. Grinding and min-maxing all the best gear is something you only need to do if you plan on really investing time into the game and clearing every possible difficulty. It really is just like Borderlands now that I think about it. Shame that the series stopped at 2, it had so much potential. Hey, get out of here, all of you, scram! You can stay though, at least you have a good campaign. Your endgame sucks though.
Autobots, we have lived on Earth for decades, but I see now that we have not truly accepted Earth as our home, holding out some distant hope that we would return to a newly reforged Cybertron. And maybe one day that will happen. But we cannot continue to live in between worlds. From this day forward, we are no longer Cybertronians who are stranded on another world. Now, we are a part of Earth. And we must treat Earth as though we were forged here. And we must protect our home, no matter the cost.
At the end of the day, Devastation isn't too much more than a Bayonetta game with a Transformers coat of paint. However, if you're a fan of the IP or just really like character action games, I'd still really recommend giving it a shot. Part of why I ended up enjoying games like Hyrule Warriors or Persona 4 Arena is precisely because they took an IP I liked and mashed it together with a genre I initially didn't have much experience with. I wouldn't say they turned me into a hardcore Musou enjoyer or a top-tier fighting game player, but they did help me appreciate them more. So if you thought anything you saw here looked cool or fun, I absolutely think you should play the game for yourself. Is what I would say if you could easily get a hold of this game anymore. Towards the end of 2017, this and several other Transformers games were pulled from digital storefronts after Activision's licensing deal expired. Since then, no other company has stepped up to secure the rights for any of these games, so the only way you can get a hold of them is either hunting down a physical copy or having an online account that already has these games, which is how I recorded this playthrough on Steam. Devastation was available on multiple console generations at least, so if you're looking to play this game in particular, you have more options than something like War for Cybertron. It's not unheard of for licensed games like this to make a comeback these days. It's a miracle that we have access to Marvel vs. Capcom again, but I suppose only time will tell. Also, can I just say that recording this game was weird? This game was released in 2015, so the highest natural resolution the game supports is 1080p. No big deal, the game looks just fine on a 1440p monitor, so we just use OBS like normal, and what the hell is this? Why does the game not take up the entire window? There's just this massive black void. The game looks just fine while I'm playing it, so why does OBS turn it into this? You might be saying, oh, well that's just because you're full screening the game, just run it in windowed mode and use display capture. Nope, doesn't work, black void. Well, you're still doing it wrong. You should manually change the resolution of your monitor to 1080p so that way it doesn't work! Why doesn't it work? In all seriousness, this was a pretty easy fix. Just scale up the footage and try to get it as close as possible to the size of the editing window. From there I can copy-paste the changes onto all the footage and bam, you can barely tell the difference. I just really wanted to get that off my chest. Thanks for watching.